Hello, this is Cynthia Sue Larson with RealityShifters.com talking with you today about choosing optimal realities at the periphery. So this concept gets into, first of all, choosing optimal realities. How can we access optimal parallel worlds? We're living at a time when more and more scientists and business people are talking openly about the possibility that this could be a simulation. I've written before about this being like a dream, like a waking dream. Either simulation or dream, those are both similar. And when you combine with those concepts, the additional concept that this entire life that we know could be coexisting with lots of other possible realities, that's where things get pretty interesting. So how do we choose? How do we notice what's happening? How can we sense these things around us in this dreamlike experience that we share? I'm going to start with a quote from a book. This is by Jerome Busemeyer and Peter Bruza, and they wrote a book called Quantum Models of Cognition and Decision, published by Cambridge University Press. It's a pretty technical book, but they've got something amazing in this simple quote that I'm going to share, which says, "The wave nature of an indefinite state captures the psychological experience of conflict, ambiguity, confusion, and uncertainty. The particle nature of a definite state captures the psychological experience of conflict resolution, decision, and certainty." So basically what they're saying, when you look at that, it's like on one hand, you got this wave-like uncertainty, ambiguity, and on the other, particle-like. And what does that sound like? It sounds like what they're talking about, quantum physics. And they are absolutely drawing a comparison between the way that when things are in flux, we have a possibility of choosing amidst that ambiguity. Once we've chosen, then we've got a very particular physical reality. And these concepts, I've seen them again and again in so many forms. I've seen them in the Hopi language where they've got Tunatyava, which is Tunatyava would be the the manifest. Tunatya is the manifesting. So when we're bringing something into creation that we truly desire, that we know that we need, that we love, it's in the creation phase. We're surfing between worlds. When it's solid and we've got it, then we're there. We've locked it in. It also reminds me of physicist David Bohm, who talks about the implicate order, where things are kind of like connected in ways we can't really tell, and the explicate order, that there's this physical reality is definitely has its own existence too, and they seem different yet complementary. So these are very powerful ideas to start to give us an idea of what's going on when we're choosing between these. I like to think of it like walking, like, you know, when you take a step and it's solid, and then you're moving the other foot and it's waving, and then it's solid, and then you're waving or going through all possible worlds, and then that's solid. So I think in a sense, every time we take a step, we're practicing walking with feet in two worlds. There's actually, if you think of this and make it a meditation, you can actually choose, you know, I'm choosing all the possible options for me right now. And as you're doing a walking meditation, you can say, and then I'm choosing this one. So it can be a process of stepping through realities, walking through them. And in that waking meditation, you can ask, how good can it get? As you're thinking about something, and just allow yourself in that wave state when you're stepping, just be free to acknowledge that it's okay to find power, to find positivity in the unexpected, to actually have a love relationship, a love affair with the unknown, with that ambiguity. That's typically not something that we love in our modern world, but it's something that when you start trusting and having faith, like, okay, how good can it get? Let's just see what's going to happen now, and then take a step. It's possible to start experiencing some remarkable synchronicities, because when we're in that wave state, we can actually blend our energy, our thought field, the psychosphere that I think Bernard Beitman talks about. Lots of authors talk about it. Rupert Sheldrake talks about the morphogenic field that's around each and every one of us. But there's also this interconnected relationship that we have, this connection between different thought forms, the different mental states that are quite expansive and quite palpable to one another. Because you can ask a friend to enter the room. You can just give them the directions, walk into the room, but don't be more specific than that. The way they walk in that room will tell you quite a lot about their state of mind, their mood. When you pay attention to these things, you can feel them. And it's quite palpable. This is an exercise actors are given to just observe someone who's not saying anything, and to observe how are they feeling, what is their thought form, mental space like. And we're all doing that. We're observing this all the time. So these concepts of befriending uncertainty, like trusting, like it's going to be fine, and then trusting certainty when you make a choice. It's good to become strong in both of these areas, that you can trust that unknown and trust the choosing, both. And this is really what our lives are like. It's constantly a shifting experience. I had a martial arts teacher once that said, walking is controlled falling. And it's a shocking kind of a statement to think controlled falling, really? But yes, it is, because we're sort of in that moment when we're only on one foot and we're basically falling forward. You just take one step and you're falling forward, take the next, falling forward. It's that process of trusting with each step that you'll land okay. And hopefully we do. Usually we do. We don't usually think about walking unless you're going through some physical therapy and recovering from something. It's not usually such a big issue. So these are the concepts that I want us to think about in terms of how this year, this is now 2024, the beginning of a brand new year. Last year has shut. The new year is opening. We have everything ahead of us right now for this year. So it's a perfect opportunity to face this uncertainty. A lot of people are projecting onto this year and next year, and in fact the next several years. But if we project into it with a need and a demand and an expectation that we must see how good this can get, then that's the expectation that we're bringing into the next step we take collectively. Because each of us, we're not walking alone, we're walking together. And we can share our strengths, we can share the strengths of our attention and intention with one another by just asking these simple questions. So this is a time when a lot of people are making New Year's resolutions. If I were to suggest one, I think you know what it would be. I would just ask you to please ask my favorite question every day if you can remember to. More than once is fine. And just whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're looking at, whatever the news story might be, I'm just asking you to bring in that open-minded, radical optimism of that question, how good can it get? And bring that energy, bring that intentionality and that attentionality into this year and into every year in the rest of our lives. Because I know that when we do this individually and when we do this together, we're creating something that's so much better than any one of us could have ever imagined. And this is also that trade-off that I've spoken of before between sensitivity and specificity. Wave function is sensing, and the solidification of it, when you see something in your hand, it's physical, that's the specificity. So this is how we can recognize, just like yin and yang, we need both. We'll be bringing both of these into this dawning of the new world, dawning of the golden age. That is how good it can get. It can get so good that whatever the fears are that we had, they don't matter anymore because we're finding something better. And I mean truly better, that actually feels good to the part of you that knows what good is. And we all do. We intrinsically know. Nature knows. We know. That's what our eternal and internal spirit really can feel. And this makes us different than something that's not sentient, that doesn't have this beautiful gift of conscious agency. We have the power to choose. And so, again, I'm just going to repeat my favorite question to close out this first video of this new year. How good can this new year get? When we're all together, remembering as much as possible to keep asking that question. How good can it get? Love you so much. Take care.